welcome back to my channel. It's Megan here, or Megan McFly. I'm feeling like Marty McFly's younger sister or something. And I'm very excited to bring back my game of TBR for you. If you have been following along with my channel or if you've seen it previously, this is a TBR board game. I customized the game of life in order to choose my TBR. It has been so long, so long since I have been invested in reading, invested in my booktube, and truly just invested in like choosing an official and like declaring an official TBR. So I'm so excited to bring my board game back to you guys. I'll link up above my previous videos of me doing my TBR, but just to bring it back, if you aren't aware, I customized the game of life in order to choose my TBR. So we'll do a little refresher on the rules here. I did change a couple just so that it's more tailored to what I need at this time as opposed to a year ago. One thing that is remaining the same, if I have to choose between two paths, for example, right off the bat, you have to choose between career or college path. I will choose that by spinning the wheel, and on the wheel there is red and black squares, kind of like a roulette board, and if I land on red, I will go right, or R, and if I land on black, I will go left. So that is how I will determine which path to take. That way it is truly random and not just me choosing things. Obviously the number correlates with the number of spaces I move forward. If I land on a yellow space here, that means I choose a prompt card from my official deck of Megan's game of TBR cards. Very official, made in Word and cut out on some cardstock paper. We are only official in this household. If I land on green, green to me sounds like money, so I was like, oh, instead of spending money, I'm going to save money. And that is to read a book from the library, to read an ebook that I own, or an audiobook that I own. For teal, it is to read a graphic novel or manga from my collection. For pink, it is to randomize my physical TBR. I do believe I have 675-ish books on my physical TBR, so I have plenty to choose from. Essentially, I'll pick a number between 1 and 675, or whatever that number may be, and whatever that number lands on is the book I have to read. However, if it's a sequel, I will just pick the book that I'm currently on in that series. So for example, if I'm on book 2 and I draw book 4, I'll remain at book 2. If I draw book 2 and I haven't started the series, then I'll start book 1, and that's how I'll choose that TBR. Next would be for blue, and if I land on that, it is to read an advanced reader copy physical book that I own, or a book off my NetGalley TBR. Of course, we have our little cards here for college, career, and house. If I land on college, career, I'll do the typical life activity in which you draw 3 and then randomly choose one from those 3, and then whatever card I pull correlates with a genre. So I will read whatever genre correlates with that card. And then if I land on house, that is to choose a house card, and the house cards correlate with a page count. So depending on the luxuriousness of the house is like how many pages I'll read. If I land on anything to do with marriage, that will include reading an adult book. If I land on anything to do with adopting or having a female child, that will be to read a young adult book. And then if I land on anything to do with a male child, then I will read a middle grade book. So we've got lots going on. If I have a stop at graduation, or a stop at night school, or a stop at some other random thing, I will just choose a book that I feel correlates with that theme. So I think that is all the rules going forward. So without further ado, let's get this puppy started. So right off the bat, we are going to choose a college or career path, and by doing so, we're going to choose a college or career card. And to choose if we're doing college or just regular career, we are going to spin our wheel. And I believe that lands on black. So we are going to the left, and to the left is just regular career path. I've got my little blue card here, so let's go. Let's pick a career, shall we? Alright, so typically in life you draw 3 random cards, and then from those 3 you pick which one you want. So we have an inventor, a singer, and a chef. I genuinely don't recall what genres correlate with these specific careers, so we're gonna go to call a friend over here, and he's gonna turn around and let us know what those careers mean. Inventor is fantasy, okay. Singer is contemporary, and chef is romance. Alright, so I did have sort of a list in mind of books I want to try to get to. I have a ton of NetGalley TBRs that I'd like to get to, but I actually think chef was the romance. I think I'm gonna go with chef because I really need to read the next book in the Bridgerton series, but that could change as we go throughout this game. I also love fantasy, so who knows, maybe I'll jump back to the fantasy at some point. We'll put chef there for now though. Okay, now for our first official moving spin. We have a 3, so we're gonna go 1, 2, 3. That is a yellow card, and we're gonna pull right from here. Genre you need to read more of. I feel like there are several genres I actually need to read more of right now because all I've been reading is romance and fantasy. So that could be anything from sci-fi to nonfiction to historical fiction. I guess Bridgerton's somewhat historical. I think I might do a sci-fi. It's been a hot second since I've read a science fiction book and I kind of miss it. So maybe we'll go sci-fi. I do have some nonfiction books on my NetGalley and giveaways I've received that are nonfiction. So we'll figure out what to do there. I'm just going to stack these to the side so I remember what I've pulled. So we have chef and genre you need to read more of. Now for spin 3, we have, I guess it's 1. I kind of like stopped between there, but 1 forward, woohoo! We're really driving home the moves here. So that's another yellow. You know what? I don't need your sass. I forgot how my brain operates. It's fine. So 1 space equals a yellow, which means another yellow prompt card. And that is a book between 330 to 350 pages. That's a very specific page count. I'm gonna have to look at the books that I want to read and see if any of those fit this prompt. And if not, I'm gonna have to find one that does, because I feel like a lot of the books I want to read are either under 300 or over 500. So absolutely opposite of this page range. Spin number 4. That was a good spin as far as like the actual spin, but it was only 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. Alright, pink. So this is going to be interesting. We're going to randomize my physical TBR here. Alright, number 1 through 675. Let's spin 91. That's my number. 91.
By the book?
Oh, is that by Jasmine Guillory?
No.
Or
Julia Sonborn?
Ah, that's the other by the book. Dang it.
Yeah, there's another one by Jasmine.
Okay, so by the book, I believe, is a contemporary following a bookshop sort of a theme. I thought it was by the book by Jasmine Guillory, which is an adult contemporary romance series, which is retellings of Disney fairy tales, and by the book would be Beauty and the Beast. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, we love all books in this house, but it is the other by the book. So maybe I'll just read both. Who knows? All right, number 5. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're getting married. We're reading an adult book. Okay, so that might actually change my thoughts on spin number 1 with chef. I might go fantasy now instead because the Bridgerton series is adult. So Bridgerton would fit that narrative or that prompt. So we'll establish a TBR after I do all my spins here. But I'm thinking maybe lean more towards Bridgerton for that one. We'll see. And our final spin here. 2. 1, 2. Another yellow. And this time the yellow is a translated book. I always like to use translation for a manga series because those are typically translated from either Japanese or Korean. So this will be easy to choose from. I have several manga that I would love to read right now. So that should be fairly easy to make a selection from. So those are my 6 spins here. Just to recap, we have our career of chef and or inventor being romance and or fantasy. We have a genre you need to read more of. We have a book between 330 and 350 pages. We have my physical TBR, which was by the book. We have an adult book, and we have a translated book. So those are our 6 spins. So let's skip over to choosing our books, and I'll share with you the 6 books I've chosen as well as some of the other books I'd love to read this month. Alright friends, it's now time to choose our books for the TBR game. So for number 1, we were trying to decide between chef and inventor for romance or fantasy. So I have 2 different options here, one for each. I'm thinking for fantasy, The Camelot Betrayal by Kirsten White. This is the sequel to The Guinevere Deception, which is a King Arthur retelling. I've been reading it in March here and really enjoying it. It's a reread, so The Camelot Betrayal would be a new read for me, and it would get off my physical TBR. The other option is to read The Viscount Who Loved Me, which is book 2 of the Bridgerton series, and one I also need to read to get off my TBR so I can unbox these little goodies here for an unboxing, and to not only get it off my physical TBR but to be able to unbox these goodies and get them out of my space. So I feel like I'm leaning more towards this, but I also could go for adult. So my options for adult are either The Viscount Who Loved Me or House of Sky and Breath, which is a huge adult fantasy, and I read Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood, so I'd love to get to House of Sky and Breath. So those are my 2 toss-ups. So I think just for the sake of time and for the sake of my sanity, as far as what I'm going to try to actually accomplish in a month, I think I'm going to go with The Camelot Betrayal for fantasy, and then The Viscount Who Loved Me for the adult, as opposed to the like 800-page book here. And then after The Inventor for fantasy was, I can't remember if 330 to 350 or genre you need to read more of came first, so I'm going to just go with genre you can read more of. For that, I really want to read a sci-fi. Like, that sounds so fun, and I honestly should just read what I want to, but I also have had this arc for quite some time and I would love to get to it. It was a giveaway to me and I said I would read it for a review, and I just really feel like I should read it, and I just really don't read like lit contemporary. It is more on that like contemporary adult side. I've been reading a lot of romance. I haven't really read a lot of like contemporary fiction, if that makes sense, some like lit fiction. So this is following an English teacher whose work about a mermaid gets published and turned into a movie, and she's just dealing with some inner conflict about how they're portraying her words from the book into the movie. So she's dealing with like legalities and like moral issues with that. So I think it's gonna be super interesting and I'm super excited to read it. I would prefer sci-fi, but I do think that this is something I'd love to get off my TBR and have read. So I think I'm gonna go with American Mermaid by Julia Langbine. If I were to do a sci-fi though, I don't know, it might just appear on my TBR later. It would probably be Skyward by Brandon Sanderson, so I could reread that and then continue on the rest of the series that I have not read yet. So Skyward is one of my favorite sci-fis. super easy reread. I love the audiobook, so it should be no problem to knock out if I chose to, you know, pick up a sci-fi. And then for the opposite way, for 330 to 350, oh, maybe this would work for that. Maybe we can fit in our sci-fi. Let's see, 330 to 350. It's 328. It came so close. That's not the choice. Let's find something else. Okay, I think I'm gonna go with this one. This is Party of Two. I've been reading through the Jasmine Guillory series here, so this would actually be next on the TBR, so it fits. And it is 337 pages, so there we go. It fits. Party of Two. And then we of course had our physical TBR choice, so that was kind of chosen for me. I did think it was By the Book by Jasmine Guillory, but it was not. It was By the Book by Julia Sanborn, and this is a witty and wise, a dose of humor, and a dash of drama make this a compulsively readable, utterly charming debut. It's an English professor struggling for tenure, and she discovers that her ex-fiance has just become the president of her college. So that's By the Book. You're welcome. And then we had adult, as we already established. I'm gonna do the Viscount Who Loved Me as opposed to House of Sky of Breath, which is a beast. And finally, we have a translated book. I'm gonna go with Attack on Titan. I've been reading the Attack on Titan series so that I can watch the 1 hour special, which is the final season, again for like the 5th time. That is now again still not the final season. We're getting the final season later this summer, supposedly. So I would love to watch that, but I want to read the manga to recap my brain on what happened. I have like 34 manga to catch up on, and I'm on number 2. So we're gonna go with number 6 and pick up number 6 and probably some subsequent graphic novels, probably 7 through 10 as well, and get to those in April. So that's my game of TBR. And then, like I said, sci-fi called Skyward might sneak in there. Some extra volumes of Attack on Titan might sneak in there. And if I'm feeling a little extra ambitious, House of Sky and Breath might sneak in there as well. But that is my TBR for April. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know down below what is on your TBR for April, and I'll check you in my next one. I hope you guys enjoyed the return of Game of TBR. Thank you. Bye, friends.